Televiziunea Română, întâlnirile JTI și Fundația Art Production vă recomandă Garantat 100%.
Salutare, bine v-am regăsit la Garantat 100%. Invitatul nostru din seara asta e o personalitate legendară a cinematografiei mondiale. Polițist, răufăcător, justițiar, rebel, gangster, cowboy, personaj biblic, primul și cel mai iubit Django. Invitatul nostru a jucat în peste 200 de filme, văzute și revăzute de generații întregi. Mulțumim organizatorilor Bucharest Best Comedy Film Festival pentru mijlocirea acestei întâlniri. Doamnelor și domnilor, suntem onorați să-i spunem bun venit la Garantat 100% actorului Franco Nero. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Thank you so much for accepting this invitation. It's a privilege.
You're welcome.
I will not begin with some questions, but I will begin with something which is totally natural in this very moment. Happy birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
There's a champagne for you.
Thank you.
And may you live long and be as successful.
Generally, it's good to celebrate birthdays when you're young. When you get older, you hate it because you say, I don't want to think about that.
You don't think about that?
I don't want to think about that.
Okay. I also have a present here. I will not open it. I'll let you open it at your place. This is a book in English. It's called A Brief Illustrated History of the Romanian People. It is written by a legendary character from Romania, a legendary scholar. His name is Neagu Juvara. He passed away this year, 101 years old. A fabulous scholar. You'll love the book. So this is the present for your birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. You are a son of a carabinieri police officer.
Yes.
How was your father?
My father was a special man. When I was little, I was complaining because it was very hard. He wanted discipline. Mm-hmm. He wanted people, me to be honest, straight. And I was complaining. But now I thank him for the education he gave me. He was a man of few words. He never really laughed. A few times I made him laugh a little bit. He was a man who came from a poverty from the south of Italy. Mm-hmm. Practically all his brothers and sisters, they were farmers, in Puglia, in the south of Italy. And I remember when I was very little, I used to go with him to see his parents in the south of Italy. And I will never forget the room where we all stayed. Mm-hmm. There were like 20 people, all sitting around the table, eating, and then sleeping there with many small beds. So since there were not too much space, mm-hmm. So unfortunately I had to sleep with a donkey. I slept with a donkey and
Literally?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was sleeping with a donkey, and sometimes, donkey was farting, and it was not easy. But anyway, and then at dawn, they all wake up, and we went in the fields to collect, tomatoes, mm-hmm. grapes, whatever there was there. So we went with the donkey and a little carriage. So I was sitting on the carriage. I was like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old. Anyway, now I'm thinking about those times. They were fantastic.
Is it still something from that time present in you? That kid sleeping with the donkey who was farting and having dinner with all the family, is it something that still exists inside you?
Yes. Generally, I think I'm a farmer myself. I'm a little bit intellectual, but I'm a farmer. Sometimes when I receive an award,
Yep.
around the world, I always say the work that I'm doing is giving me possibility to travel the world and to have dinner with government, with governors, with the princes, princesses, kings, you know, but also with farmers and fishermen. So I say, and I have to tell you that I prefer to eat with the farmers because they are smarter and wiser than many of these politicians.
Was your father's experience as a policeman, was it of any use for you as an actor? I mean, when you did police movie, detective movie, all stuff concerning the guy who's doing justice, or the opposite, the wrongdoer, was that of any use for you?
Well, in a way, yes, because as I told you before, he taught me discipline. And that's very important in our job, to have great discipline. And also, at the beginning, my father was very upset with me because he wanted me to be an official, you know, officer of in the army. That was his dream. But then when I chose, I abandoned everything. I was doing university in Milan, and I went to the army, but I left the army very soon. And then I went to Rome, and he was very, very upset. But then, when I started to, you know, fortunately, very young, I started to have success. My mother was telling me that he was going to the cinema like at 2 o'clock and he was coming back home at 8. So it means that he must have seen every time 3 or 4 times my movies. And in 1967, I did a movie where I played Carabiniere, Il giorno della civetta. That is an incredible movie.
It's a legendary movie.
Even now, you know, the movie never ends, you know, it never dies. They're all watching, all the new generation. And he was very proud. He was very proud because I played the captain of the Carabinieri that was fighting the mafia, you know, in Sicily.
When you were filming Camelot in the United States, you had a copy of Django with you, and you decided to do a screening for the team. And they loved it so much that you had to do 2 or 3 screenings. At a certain moment, actors like Paul Newman and Steve McQueen, who were filming around, they came to see the film. Please tell me that story.
Yes, it's true. I had a print of Django. I was working at Warner Brothers, and I stayed there many months. So I did 1 screening at the beginning, 1 screening, and few of the stars, they came to watch it. And then the word spread. And so all the others, they wanted to watch it. And also there was a director called Terence Young.
Yes.
He was doing a movie, Wait Until Dark, with Audrey Hepburn. And he said, I want to see this movie. I want to see this movie. And he saw it.
3 times.
I think so. Because then a few years later, he did a Western called The Red Sun.
Yep.
With Toshiro Mifune and Delon.
And Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson, yes. So, but the funny thing is, at that time, Jack Nicholson, that he wasn't a name at the time, and he came to me after watching the movie, he said, I want to buy the movie for the States. But I said, I'm sorry, I think it's already sold. So another company bought it already. But he wanted to distribute, you know, the movie in the States.
Do you think that Django was a source of inspiration for Terence Young when he did The Red Sun?
Yes, I think that Django was an inspiration to many directors. Terence Young, Robert Rodriguez.
Yes.
You know, I think many, they tried, you know, to copy many things from Django.
When you are the original, when the original is a cult movie, do you ever feel any type of frustration?
No.
Why not?
I'm very proud. I'm very proud, you know, because, you know, there is a copy at the New York Museum. There is a copy of Django, they told me. So I'm very proud of that. And the funny thing is that I didn't want to do that movie. Because when they chose me, said, I was in the car with Elio Petri, and they said, Elio, they offered me a movie, a Western. I'm an actor that comes from the Piccolo Teatro of Milano. I want to be. And he said to me, are you known? Do people know you? I said, no, so do it. You have nothing to lose.
Then it was Django Unchained by Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
There's a story who says that during your presence in the set, you had a game with Tarantino. I mean, you were pronouncing names of Italian directors, and he will immediately tell you the title or even quote lines from the script. Is that true?
Okay, the story is this. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
I was doing a movie in Spain, and my daughter was played by Penelope Cruz. And one day Penelope told me, Franco, tomorrow I'm going to the Festival of San Sebastian, because we were shooting in Oviedo. And oh, I said, well, tell me tomorrow when you come back how was the festival. She came back the next day and said, Franco, I met a young director. His name is Quentin Tarantino. When I mentioned that I was doing a movie with you, he went crazy. He said, I want to meet him. I want to meet him. And this went on for a few years. I mean, I remember when they showed the movie in Rome, it was the opening of Kill Bill. He couldn't come, but Harvey Weinstein was there on the stage, and he said, Quentin couldn't come, but he said that if Franco Nero is on the audience, all my best, that one day I have to meet him. To make it short, one day he came to Rome to present Inglourious Basterds. And he said to the production, I'm not leaving Rome without meeting Franco. Finally, they managed to find this meeting. We had a lovely lunch at the Bolognese restaurant in the center of Rome. And when you know, he embraced me, so he told me all the story. He said, when I was 14, I was working in a shop of videos, and I started to know your movies, and I wanted to see them all. Even movies that were not shown in America, he knew how to get from different countries. And he started to say lines from my movies. I couldn't believe it. Plus the music, too. I was astonished.
He was singing the music from the films?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. I mean, it was unbelievable. So, when I was doing an episode in New York of Law and Order, Special Victim, and I was doing, you know, this, it was about the man who wanted to be president of France, you know, Dominique Strauss-Kahn. And the writer of the story, he came to me and said, you know, just happened to have in my hands a script from Quentin Tarantino called Django Unchained. Oh, let me see it. So I started to read, and I said, yeah, there is nothing for me. I mean, the only part that I could play was a German dentist, but I'm sure he must have wrote the role for Christopher Waltz. So there is really nothing for me. 2 months later, a call from Tarantino. Hey, Franco, how are you? Yes. You know, Franco, I'm doing a new Western called Django Unchained, and it's an homage to your movie, Django, and I would love you to be in it. Oh. I said, oh, that's great, but I haven't read the script, Quentin. So if you think for a cameo, maybe I have an idea. Oh, tell me your idea. I said, well, you know, the Black Django in the movie, every 10, 15 minutes, he has a flash. And he sees in front of him, he sees, you know, this rider on a horse with a black, you know, coat and a black hat, and he comes towards the camera in slow motion, but few seconds. And then this happens few times during the movie. At the end, the rider, you know, he stops in front of the camera, and in front of him there is a black woman with a little black boy. And the woman says to the boy, that's your father, meaning me. And then I would say a line like, fight for freedom, my son. There was a long silence on the other side. I said, are you there, Quentin? I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Then he said, okay, I'll get back to you. Nothing. I haven't heard from him for another 2 months. So I said to myself, well, he didn't like my idea. Okay, pazienza. 2 months later, he was already shooting the movie in New Orleans. And he said, Franco, I thought about your idea. It doesn't work. In life, a white man can have a black boy for son, but not in the movies. It doesn't work in the movies. I said, okay, Quentin, okay. But listen, why don't we talk? What do you mean you talk? Can we meet? Are you coming to America? I said, actually, in 2 weeks, I have to go to Los Angeles. I'm going to meet you there. He flew from New Orleans. He came to Los Angeles. We had a lovely lunch. And he started to say, trust me. I will do something nice for you. Trust me. At the end, we shook hands, and I was there on the set.
And you did a beautiful cameo.
And as you said, one day, since he knew all my movies, I said, now I'm going to tell you a title of a movie that I'm sure you don't know. I said, I diafanoidi vengono da Marte. It was a tiny little science fiction that I did when I was 23. He said to me, Anthony Dawson, Antonio Margheriti. I couldn't believe it. So the assistant director said, he knows everything. He knows everything. And on the set, we had a lot of fun because, he was doing a scene and he was saying, great! But then he was saying, but we have to do one more. You know why? Because we love making movies. Everybody has to say we love making movies. It was a lot of fun.
It's wonderful. It's the joy of doing cinema. That's wonderful, really wonderful.
Yeah.
You traveled the whole world and you met lots of legendary characters, personalities. Did you ever visit former Yugoslavia?
Yeah.
Did you meet Marshal Tito?
Okay. I have to tell you a very nice story.
Okay.
I did a movie in Yugoslavia. It was called The Battle of River Neretva. With me, there was a great cast. Orson Welles, Yul Brynner, Kurt Jürgens, Hardy Kruger. There were many, many actors. And Tito wanted to know me personally because he saw, at that time, Django was out, The Day of the Owl, Il Giorno della Civetta. He knew, he was crazy about me. So one day he sent me a private plane in Rome to go to see him in Brione. He had a place in Brione where he was making photos and developing photos. So he wanted me to be with him, and there was the wife Jovanka always in one side watching us. And he was saying, good? I said, yeah, good. But it wasn't very good, actually, but And then I made many movies in Yugoslavia, but the thing I made, the hero of Yugoslavia. So I became the most famous actors in Yugoslavia. The hero of Yugoslavia was called Banović Strakinja. Abroad was called the Falcon. Il Falcone, all over the world was called the Falcon. It was a great movie directed by Vatroslav Mimica. And I must say, I had always, wonderful time because I did many I did a American movie, Forced Stand from Navarone with Harrison Ford and Robert Shaw. I did The Betrothed. I did many scenes of Garibaldi. We shot outside of Zagreb. And I mean, I had always a great time. And now, about a week ago, I finished a movie in Croatia, a great movie called The Match. And it's a story of this old man, I made myself quite old, that is telling to his grandson the story when he was in the concentration camps, when he was a child. He said about 9, 10 years old, and he saved his life playing football with the Nazis. So it's a wonderful story.
How was Tito as a character? How was he?
I mean, he was, as I said, he was very nice with me. He was straight. And he said to me many times, what can I do for you? I said, no, I'm very happy. You want to go fishing? Yes. So he organized that I could go fishing the trouts. Then, you like hunting? You want to? No, I don't like, because, there was a special reserve there. So I said, I don't like hunting. So one day he sent me to Sarajevo. We are talking about the end of 1967, beginning of 68, to a factory of leather jackets. They gave me, I have no idea, hundreds of pieces. So they had to send them all to Italy, and I gave to most of my friends, as a present.
Wow. Since we visited this chapter, you also met John Wayne.
Yes.
And he told you something about the relationship with the horse.
Yes.
How you should think about you and the horse. Can you please retell that? That's fascinating.
Okay, my best friend in America was Claire Hafeker. He was a great writer, and he wrote most of the John Wayne's westerns. So one day, John Wayne, you know, was at his house, and I went there. So there was the introduction, and he said, you know, Franco is a young actor, but he's good stars, you know, westerns all over the world. So he looks at me and he said, okay, Franco, when you do a western and you have to choose a horse, you like big, beautiful horse or a small one? And I said, no, I think I like a big horse. Big mistake. I said, why? Because the horse must be small. So if the horse is small and you are on top of it, you come out much better. If the horse is too big, they look at the horse. They look at the horse, not at you. Yeah, it was very funny.
You said about this story, that advice was very funny, and I was very surprised that such a big American star was so concerned by these things. Why should you be surprised? Because this is one of the strategies of becoming an international star. Do you have these type of strategies? Your own, I mean. You have to have a strategy.
No, okay. When I was much younger, I had the honor to work together with Laurence Olivier.
Yes.
That he was the greatest actor in the world. And he said to me, oh, first he said, you remind me when I was young. Oh, thank you, Larry, because this is the way we called him. Now, he said, I know you're a star. And you want to be a star? Like the American, you know, they want to be the hero all the time. So if you want to do that, you have to do one movie a year and play always the same role and be sure that the movie is very successful. What a bore. So I would suggest you to be an actor. Change all the time. Your career will be up and down, through the years, but in the long run, you will get the fruits. And I followed his advice. I think that I had a lot of fun in my career. I am the only actor in the world who played characters of more than 30 different nationalities.
Right.
And as you said before, I did all kinds of movies. Everything. I played everything. For musicals, Western, action movie, political movie, social movie, thriller, movies for children, everything. The only role that I was missing, I always want to play an orchestra director. So a few months ago, I organized for myself, I wrote with another guy a movie where I play an orchestra director, and I shot it in Cuba, in Havana, and it's called Havana Kyria.
Are you a difficult actor when you're doing your job?
I'm very, the word difficult, no, because all directors, they love me. Mm-hmm. We actors are very strange. If I feel that I'm in the hands of a very good director...
How do you feel that? What tells you that?
You feel it. You feel it. The way he puts the camera, the way he explains you the scene, and you feel very comfortable. But if we found a weak director, that he doesn't know really what he wants, he's
then you eat him.
Then we... So, I must say that I try to be very professional, very humble when I'm shooting. I always say to the crew, now, when we are shooting, we're all the same. Electricista, prop, makeup man, we're all the same. So it's not that I'm a star or you are workers. We are all the same. Of course, then when the movie's out for the audience, I'm, the actor, the star. But no, when I shoot, I want to have fun. Shooting a movie, you have to have fun. because it's a great privilege. I always say I'm very privileged because, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, a worker that works every day, you know, and then he gets very little money. So I know I'm privileged. So I thank God that I had this, you know, I've been lucky in a way.
Why do you think that actors will swallow the director if he's weak? Which could be the reason behind that?
No, the reason is many directors, they are not prepared. I think to be a good director, you have to be first an assistant. You have to see how the director works. Now there are all the new generations, there are so many directors that have never done anything, and they are very presumptuous, but they don't know what they are doing. So you know how many movies I had to save directing myself without putting my name? Many. You understand?
Yes.
I mean, if I have so many episodes that, okay, I'll just tell you one. I was shooting a movie in Moscow, an Italian director, and the Italian government gave him the money because the script was quite good. So he does the first scene, action, and they said, no, wait. First you have to see motore, you know, and then, you know, chuck. Oh, okay. The second time, motore, action. No, wait. Finally, we start the scene, and the camera had to come closer to me while I'm making a monologue, and and before the ending, he said, cut. I said, why you say cut? You haven't finished. No. So I put him aside, and I said, now, listen to me. Have you ever seen a camera? Have you ever seen a camera? No. Now, what we are going to do? You want me to direct the movie? Thanks, but you know, the name must be mine. Don't worry. I'm here, I have to go till the end. So I did the movie.
So that happens all over the place, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Okay. Let us do memory exercise now. Please put yourself many years back in the past. And I'm really very curious to find out, how was the atmosphere? What did you learn? How was the moment when you met Giorgio Strehler at the Piccolo Theatre in Milan? You have lived a legendary time. You met legendary characters, personalities, and Strehler is one of them. How was that time, and what did you learn out of that meeting?
That was a great meeting in my life. I must have been 19. I went to Milan to work, and then in the afternoon, after work, I was going to the school of Piccolo Teatro. But, you know, before I had to be accepted. So I had a meeting with Strehler. And I started to talk, and I told him, you know, that when I was 7, I did a play called The Boys in Palm Street from an Hungarian play, a book, you know, a book and play about Boy Scouts. Then I told him, when I was 16, 17 in Parma, I was organizing always shows for students. And then I told him that a few days before, they were shooting a movie in Milan at the Metropolitana, and so all the boys said, oh, let's go, you know, for extras. So I go there. The director was Giuseppe Fina. The film was called Pelle Viva with Elsa Martinelli. And then the director said, now, who can say a few lines? I said right away, me! And that was the first time in front of the camera that I felt very comfortable, and I said those few lines. And he was very proud. I said, are you sure this is the first time? Yes. So we talked about many things, and at the end he said, okay, you are under me. I will be your maestro, and that's it. And I met him a few times, and all the times I met him through the years, say that you came to my school. And actually, once we were doing a charity show in Hamburg before he died, you know, a few years before he died, organized by Vanessa, and many American stars came, and George and I, we went there. We had to read a few things. And he was very narcissista, we say, always to look, always with the comb and to look his hair, you know. And he said, find a way and say that you came to my school. He was very proud of me because, you know, he was proud because I was so successful. So it was a great meeting.
What about the meeting with John Huston? Because that was also a fundamental meeting.
That was an incredible meeting. That was the meeting that changed my life. As I told you, I left Milan, I left, you know, I went to the army for a little bit, then I want to go to Rome. I didn't have a penny. I remember I rented a room on the 7th floor without elevator, a tiny little room, for let's say €2 a month at that time.
Wow, that was the golden age.
So I was, you know, I was trying to survive. There was a bakery under the place, and at night I was helping them just to eat something. In the meantime, I met this photographer that he was taking photos of painters, and I learned a lot, you know, developing with him. One day, a photographer from the De Laurenti studios came there, you know, to meet him or to see his friend. He looked at me and said, do you mind if I can take some close-ups of your face? I said, yeah, why not? Anyway, to make it short, these close-ups, they went on the desk of John Huston. John Huston looked at my face, he said, I want to meet this boy. So they called me. John Huston wants to meet. They organized a meeting at the Grand Hotel in Rome, and I went there to meet him, and it was very funny, the meeting, because, you know, I opened the door, and there was a big suite with many girls, you know, assistants. And John Huston looks at, come, boy. So I go in front of him. He looks at me and he says, now undress. I said, what do you mean undress? Yes, undress. I was looking around with these beautiful women, and I started to take, you know, my jacket out. When I say undress, I want you naked. So I stayed only with the slip at the end. So turned around, he wanted to see my body, because he knew he liked my face. Then at the end he said, you can go. You dress up and go. After 3 days, they called me and they said, John Huston chose you to play Abel in the Bible. So, but the good thing is that when I was there, since the Bible, you know, went on for many months, he said to me, Franco, remember, you have a physique that you can play everything. You're not Italian. Yeah, you can play in Italian, but you can play everything. This is why I played many. You have to learn English very well. I said, okay, I will try. I will be your teacher. So I went to him many times, you know, saying, you know, he was giving me things to learn, and we had talk. And then he gave me as a present records of Shakespeare, of John Gielgud, Michael Redgrave, Ralph Richardson, you know, all the top English Shakespearean actors. And I learned Shakespeare phonetically without knowing what I was saying. But I was perfect because I had a good ear. And this is why I owe everything to John Huston, because one day John Huston, you know, after the Bible was finished, he was in London and he had dinner with Joshua Logan, the director of Camelot. And you know, they were talking, and Logan said, well, I'm here because I want to cast, you know, new actors for the musical Camelot, because I don't want, you know, Richard Burt and Julie Andrews, I don't want them, because they did Camelot in theater. I want, you know, somebody new. And John Huston said, I have the 2 actors for you. Yes? One is Richard Harris, that played Cain in the Bible. Oh, yes, I heard about him. And one is Franco Nero, that he played Abel with me in the Bible. I don't know him. Well, you should meet him. Anyway, to make it short, one day while I was doing a Western, I remember in Abruzzo, and they said, look, this director, Joshua Logan, wants to meet you in London. So I had to go to London. I went there. So we had a meeting, and they started to talk a lot in English. And he wanted to see how was my English. My English was not, yeah, it was all right, but not very good. And he said to me, John is right. Physically, you're perfect, but I cannot risk. you know, this is an American movie, and it's going to be the most expensive movie ever made. This is called The Extravaganza of Jack Warner. I cannot risk. I'm sorry. So I said, okay, and I left. I arrived at the door. I turned, and I said, oh, Mr. Logan, I know Shakespeare in English. What do you mean you know Shakespeare? You don't know how to talk properly. Okay, let's see. Wow. And I started. Wow. For half hour. All the world the stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. I mean, I went on and on. He went crazy. He said, if you know how to, you know, to recite Shakespeare in that way, you know how to say few bloody lines in a movie. And he got
So you got it.
Yes. And then, you know, my song, the song that I sang in Camelot, won the Oscar that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't you feel humiliated when John Huston asked you to get undressed?
Of course, you know, I was like, I must have been 22. I was very embarrassed, I'll tell you, very, very embarrassed, especially because there were so many women.
What was inside your mind at that very moment?
I said to myself, well, you know, I'm here. I cannot go away, you know, I have to do the job. You have to be, if he wants to see, there must be a reason, you know, I said to myself. Then I understood he wanted to see my body, because at that time, Cain and Abel, they were naked. They just had a little, you know, ship, you know, something.
But at that moment, when you think of that mountain of photographs, you were lucky. He got you out of that mountain of photographs and he said, this is my guy. Do you ever think of the guys who are in that mountain of photographs and who never made it?
Oh, yeah. You know, I made a vow. I said, if one day I win an Oscar as the best actor, I will say this. I dedicate this Oscar to all the talented actors and actresses that were not lucky in their career. They were, maybe they were on the wrong place at the wrong moment, because that's our career. You can make the best movie in the world. They show the movie maybe in August and nobody sees it, and that's it, finished. So you have to be lucky in that. So I was very lucky.
There are so many movies around at this very moment that sometimes you get the impression that acting is not a performance anymore. Mm. Acting is something very normal. I can do it, he can do it, she can do it. Yeah. There's so many films around. What is acting for you, Franco Nero? Please tell me that. How do you understand acting? What do you understand by acting?
Well, my favorite actor was Spencer Tracy.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why, because his acting was simplicity. It's more difficult in acting to be, you know, like the way I am, and I say to the girl or the woman, would you like to have dinner with me, in a simple way, than to be into a character and play, you know, the robbers or something. Acting, we are like animals that changes skin according to the characters they're playing. A few years ago, I played Saint Augustine, that is a great saint. And the Pope, Ratzinger, he wanted to meet me. And he said, since I played the old man, he said, but in the Italian way, ma lei è giovane, because he was speaking Italian with a terrible German accent, and he spit on my face practically. And I said, Santità, we actors are like chameleons. We change skin according to the roles. So this role I had to be old, so I played the old man. But acting,
which is something diabolic from the point of view of the Christians.
Yes, yes. But acting, either you have it or you don't have it. Do you understand? It's like I did action movies.
Yep.
And they said, can you ride? I said, yes. I never went on the horse. But the next day I went on the horse. I knew how to do it. I did an action movie years ago. It was called Enter the Ninja.
Yes.
I never did any karate in my life. And Mike Stone, that he was supposed to be the lead, but he started the movie, but he couldn't act. So the producer said, Franco, please, can you do this movie for me? And I accepted to do the movie. And he was my, you know, my guide, my stuntman, and my teacher of actions. And he said to me, don't tell me you've never done karate. I said, never. You know, I couldn't believe it. In 1 second, I knew, and right away we shot the scene. So, you know, either there is the talent, because there are many schools, you know, the school is very important. It gives, we say, ti dà una formazione, you know. But then, you know, either you have it or you don't have it.
What do you understand when you said acting is 10% acting and 90% intelligence?
Yes.
What did you understand by what type of intelligence? Is it a practical one, an intellectual one, a general one?
Well, you know, for instance, let's see. When I play magistrate, for instance, before I do the movie, I go in a court and see how they talk. And in 1 second, I understand many things. You understand? So we actors are very, you know, I'm saying, I don't want to say I'm talented, this is something else has to say. But, you know, if you think all the best directors, they were actors. Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Richard Attenborough, Orson Welles. In Italy, Vittorio De Sica, Pietro Germi. In America, Clint Eastwood. Even when he did the movie, Kevin Costner, he did a wonderful Western. Even Paul Newman, I saw a movie directed with Laurence Olivier. It was fantastic. I'll tell you the reason why. Because, you know, we work with different directors and we grab, you know, we incamerate. So we see so many things, and we are the best to direct actors because you're an actor. And you see right away if an actor is not real or is phony, right away say, hey, wait. Say the line, not too big, you know, do this. So because, you know, we know, you understand, we know how to tell them how to act.
Yep. My last two questions. You said something which is very hard in words, but that means a lot. You said television ruined cinema.
Yes.
What do you understand about that?
Yes. When there was no television, we made the best movies in the world. So people, they went to see movies. Just in Italy, in my country, we had 13,000 cinemas. When I say cinemas, cinemas of 1,500 seats, 2,000 seats. When the television means we had the public television, but then the private television came, we say the television of Berlusconi, you know. He started to pay everybody so much money that many people, they went to do television. So they closed almost 90% of the cinemas in Italy. From 13,000, they went to 1,700. And now there are 4,000 screens, not cinemas. The screens means of 100 seats, 200 seats. So the cinema will not be the same because of television. I'll tell you also why. Because at that time, there was an author. He went to see a producer, and he said, I want to do this movie. Tell me the story. He was saying, tell me the story. So he was acting. I will do this, and then, you know, I will do a close-up and this and this. So the producer, I'll do the movie. When the producer said, I'll do the movie, the movie was made. He was making co-production, always, with France, Germany, and Spain.
Now you have to ask the TV networks.
Yeah, now. So, you know, they were making movies. Now you cannot make a movie if there is no TV. So, when you have a script, you have to give a script to the television. They are employees. So they read the script, say, oh, no, this scene is too tough. Cut here, cut there. So practically, the work of an author is castrated. And you will never do the movie that you want to do. You're a slave of their, you know, opinions. So going to see movies is wonderful because you sit, you know,
it's a different condition of watching the film.
You watch the movie, and then at the end you decide if it's good or not. At home, TV, while they are watching TV, people are eating, on the telephone, farting, burping.
Like the donkey.
Yes, that's a donkey. So, how many times they told me, "Oh, Franco, I saw you last night in a movie. Tell me the story." Oh, at a certain point there was I understood that he saw a little bit, you know, because channels, you know, do this and that. So it will not be the same. Remember, it will not be the same, the cinema, like it was years ago.
There's a quotation from yourself. You said, "Of course, men appreciate beauty still. But as you get older, you like calmer women. Not the ones who are a pain in the ass. A quiet woman, as you get older, is nice." End of quotation.
Yes.
I met Vanessa Redgrave, your wife, in 2006. She was a guest in our show. And with all due respect, it didn't seem to me at all like being a quiet woman.
No. No. Very difficult woman, a great woman.
Thank you so much for being here. Once again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And good luck with all that you do.
Okay, thank you.
Tuturor celor care sunt alături de Garantat 100%, mulțumim foarte frumos pentru încredere. Ne vedem duminica viitoare. Noapte bună!